right, it's time for Matt. Oh gosh. All right, so I'm doing this Sunday. I might have had a drink before this. So this might be a different kind of Mondays with Matt and Marion. There's the name. Just came to my mind. Mondays with Matt and Marion on Sunday night. Who cares? So what? Okay? Sorry I have a little bit of attitude at the beginning of this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. That's not going to be the whole podcast. This sassy Matt. You might get sassy Matt. I don't know. Usually I do this on Monday mornings and I have a cup of coffee and I'm just ready to go for the day. Well, you got the end of Sunday Matt today on Monday. So Matt's had a few drinks and I'm talking in the third person already. So that's not me at all, is it? But who am I anyways? Who are you? You ever ask yourself, who am I? I never ask myself that, really. Maybe I should. I don't know. Anyways, Mondays with Matt and Marion for Sunday, September 21st. And how are you doing today? Did you have a good week? I had a fantastic week. I was just now trying to recall my entire week. I went hiking with my good friend Mark Smith from the great band Moonshine Crossing. And also he has his own kombucha that you've probably had. If you go to the burrito bar in Fayetteville, they have Mark's kombucha there. Give that a try if you're into kombucha. Even if you're not, just give it a try. Buy the product. Support local business. Support good people. And Mark is a very good person. Anyways, my girlfriend and I met Mark and we went hiking down at Nuttleburg in Fayetteville. I've never been to Nuttleburg. I guess the road's been washed out for a while, for like 2 years or something. So now you can go there. I didn't see a soul there as we were hiking. It was beautiful. It's an old mine, old abandoned mine, and there's a gigantic, oh gosh, words are going to be really hard tonight, aren't they? But it's a giant coal tipple, there's the word. Really cool coal tipple and a big old line that takes the coal from the top of the mountain and down, and it's beautiful. The tipple itself is beautiful. It's in great shape. And there's a lot of good hiking around there, not hard hiking, mostly just flat hiking. Very, very beautiful area. I've never been around there since I've been in Fayetteville for the past couple of years. So that was great to see. Mark, thank you so much for inviting my girlfriend and I to go hiking with you. Mark listens to the podcast, so also thank you for supporting the podcast. So it was a great week, and today my friend Reese came up, and Reese Harvey from Kettle Corn, and he also makes great videos with Planet TV on YouTube, so check that out, Planet TV on YouTube, subscribe to that. Also at the same time, while you're subscribing to the Mondays with Matt Marion podcast on YouTube, of course. This is on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, everything, all right? But, yeah, Reese Harvey came up today, and we worked on some songs for the band Kettle Corn. Kettle Corn has an album out right now on Spotify, and it's just funny songs, good time songs, nothing serious. I wrote one of the songs and recorded one of the songs on the album. But now Kettle Corn is doing a country album, a funny country album. And Reese came over and we worked on a couple tunes today, one of his own called Betty. And then we also wrote and recorded one called Mud is So Cool. So that's a new country song. Mud is so cool. Mud is so fine. Mud on my truck. Mud on my mind. That's just one lyric from the song. But the song is called Mud is So Cool. Because country guys do just think mud is so cool, right? I think mud's cool too, though. I mean, if you ever come home muddy, usually you had fun or just a really shitty time. But nothing in between. You didn't have just an okay time. You either had a great time or a shitty time. Like at Cheat Fest, Friends of the Cheat, there's an amazing music festival every year called Cheat Fest, and it's always raining, always super muddy. Man, we had such a great time at Cheat Fest a couple years ago. The crowd was amazing, just rowdy, but great people, and I've never felt more like a rock star in my entire life. Even at our festival group with the Grove, with Fletcher's Grove, but we were playing, and I crowd surfed. That's how badass this place was. At the end of the set, I thought it was the end of the show. So I was like, I want to crowd surf. So I crowd surfed for a while, probably, across like 20 or 30 people. Then finally they put me down. They put me down in like a foot of mud. And then I was standing there, and all of a sudden the band's like, all right, we got one more song. I'm like, what? We're not even done yet? I just crowd surfed. So I had to run through the mud, trudge through the mud, got back up on stage, muddy feet, and finished out the night, and that was a great time. It was raining, and they're all river people. They've all been kayaking during the day or whatever, and they're all prepared. They don't give a fuck about the rain. So it was a great time. I'll never forget that. Never, ever. Not going to get too sentimental, but who knows? It might be an emotional podcast. Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip of this drink. Sipping on some Four Roses bourbon, which is very good. It's pretty cheap. Like in West Virginia, it's like $21 for a bottle, which is pretty cheap, especially when it comes to the decent stuff. It's definitely decent stuff. I like it. I like it more than Elijah Craig, actually. I find Elijah Craig a little too sweet. But this Four Roses, man, it's good. I like that little peppery taste. But anyways, let's get on with this podcast, guys. I got a decent amount of questions, not a ton. Every week, though, I ask you to submit questions. You can email them to me at Marion. So my name's Matt Marion. So it's mmarion11@gmail.com. You can, every week I usually on like the Mondays with Matt Marion podcast on Facebook, and I usually make a post about that every week saying ask me any questions you want. Also on my personal page, which I know most of you all personally at this point. I mean, we're only at like probably 50 listens a week, which I'm completely happy with. I'm having an absolute blast doing this podcast. So even if it's only 10 or 15 people, even less, even if it's 5 people listening to this thing, I love doing this. So thank you guys so much. We are definitely at the grassroots stage. So that just means your listens mean that much more to me. Really, this is the foundation of this thing, and I'm not going to stop doing it, man. This is the 12th podcast we've done so far, 12th consecutive Monday, and I love it. It's been great for me. I've been getting to know friends better that I've been friends with them, but I feel like I get to know them even more through messaging on Facebook and texting and stuff. And I've been hearing from old friends that have moved away and they're listening to this podcast. Frank, Crack, my friend Crack, Josh McCracken. Thanks for listening to this, man. And it's been great hearing from you guys. So it's been great. It's been a lot of fun, and people that listen to it say keep going. So those words mean so much to me, for real. So thank you guys so much. Anywho, let's get on with this. But I do, anytime you want to post a question, you can send it to me on Facebook. If you have my phone number, I'm not going to give that out on here right now, but I might get a Mondays with Matt phone number, and you can call me or leave me a message with a question, and I'll answer it on here. So, but of course, we start with good news, and usually I go on the Good News Network for good news, but I'm not doing that today because I have great news. Tyler Childers, amazing country musician. He is from Eastern Kentucky. He's played in West Virginia a lot. He sings about West Virginia a lot, and he's been blowing up in the country music scene. I think he's going to be known as a legend in country music, of course, in the future. And we've played with him a couple times, not with him, but he's been at the same festival as us. I was looking at a poster from 2013 playing at a small festival in Huntington, and there was Tyler Childers at the bottom, just acoustic sets by Tyler Childers, and I forget who else. And that was really cool to see. And just to imagine him there and how hard he's been working and perfecting his craft. I think I really, honestly, a lot of my listeners might not be into country music, but he's one of the best songwriters of our time. And I agree. Just the way, the words he uses, his melodies are amazing, and I love listening to him. It's almost so good I've been afraid to listen to it, which is, I know it sounds stupid, but it's so great. And he just had an album, just released an album. I don't want to mess up the name, so I'm going to look it up right now. Tyler Childers. Oh, don't want to play Tyler Childers. Yeah, he just released an album called Long Violent History, and it's all instrumental besides the last tune on the song, which I believe is called Long Violent History, yep. But it's 9 songs, and songs 1 through 8 are all instrumental. I apologize, I haven't done too much research on it. I don't know if they're original tunes or if they're covers, but it's just old-timey Appalachian music. So a lot of violin. I think I've heard some jug music in it, and banjo, harmonica, guitar, of course, and it was great, man. Before I really get into the album, Tyler Childers had just released a statement on Facebook, or I'm sorry, he released a statement everywhere, not just Facebook, and it's just him talking for about 8 or so minutes, and just about the state that we're in with Black Lives Matter. And I was just so impressed. He was so eloquent, whichever word, with his words. He's much better at words than I am. This is country music we're talking about. And he took such a big risk making the statement that he did. And I don't know if I've ever had more respect for a musician ever. I was a Tyler Childers fan, not a huge fan. Not like I disliked it at all. I'm in all honesty, I mostly listen to podcasts lately. I hardly listen to music anymore. And his statement really it really hit home with me. I was born in West Virginia. My family's been in West Virginia since the late 1700s, and so I consider myself Appalachian. And I've honestly I haven't been proud to be an Appalachian for at least a few years now. Once I just started really seeing how a lot of people react to things around here. And I hate to get too political on here. I don't think it's a question of being Republican or Democrat, but just remembering where we came from. People from Appalachia, what we've went through in the past with the coal companies and the Pinkerton, whatever you want to call them. I really can't explain it very well. I don't know my history too well, but the way coal companies have treated the workers, hard workers in the past in West Virginia, and the rising up of those workers at the Battle of Blair Mountain, just to show how they truly feel, and to say we're not going to take this anymore. And I'm just going to say some of Tyler Childers' words here, because in his statement, I have his words right here. He says, at one point, he says, he's from Kentucky. So Tyler Childers from Kentucky. He says, what if we were to constantly open up our daily paper and see a headline like, East Kentucky man shot 7 times on fishing trip, and read on to find the man was shot while fishing with his son by a game warden who saw him rummaging through his tackle box for his license and thought he was reaching for a knife? What if we read a story that began, North Carolina man rushing home from work to take his elderly mother to the ER, runs a stop sign, and is pulled over and beaten by police when they see a gun rack in the truck? Or a headline like, Ashland Community and Technical College nursing student shot in her sleep. How would we react to that? What form of a people would that create? He goes on to say, I'd venture to say, if we were met with this type of daily attack on our own people, we would take action in a way that hasn't been seen since the Battle of Blair Mountain in West Virginia. And if we wouldn't stand for it, why would we expect another group of Americans to stand for it? Why would we stand silent while it happened? Or worse, get in the way of it being rectified? Well spoken, Tyler. And let me see, I have another quote from him. Okay, he goes on to say, we can start looking for ways to preserve our heritage outside of lazily defending a flag with history steeped in racism and treason. Things like hewing a log. It might be hoeing. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. I've never hewed a log or hoed a log. Things like hewing a log, carving a bowl, learning a fiddle tune, growing a garden, raising some animals, canning our own food, hunting and processing the animal, fishing, blacksmithing, trapping and tanning the hide, and sewing a quilt. And if we did things like that, we'd have a lot less time to argue back and forth over things we don't fully know, backed by news we can't fully trust. Love each other, no exceptions. And remember, united we stand, divided we fall. And I don't know. I don't even, it's hard to even grasp how brave he had to be to make these statements as a country musician, knowing that who knows how many fans of his stand for the exact opposite thing. And I don't think, I refuse to think that a lot of people are bad or racist. I think they're just a little ignorant to the fact. They're a little ignorant to the fact. And he even has this quote in his song, Long Violent History. This is just a part of his lyrics. He says, in all my born days as a white boy from Hickman, based on the way that the world's been to me, it's called me belligerent, it's took me for ignorant, but it ain't never once made me scared just to be. Could you imagine just constantly worrying, kicking, and fighting, and begging to breathe? So I can't even elaborate more on those lyrics or the words that Tyler spoke, but all I can tell you is how they made me feel. So I was driving yesterday. I had an eye appointment in Charleston, and my brother was camping in Summersville, so I went to meet him. So I took I-79 and then took Route 19 across to Summersville, and I listened to the album, and it was just a moment that I'll never forget. The instrumental songs were so beautiful, and to listen to as I was driving through the mountains, and it was a beautiful day, and I had time for that trip to listen to the entire album. It's not really long. It's 9 songs long, and no song's over 4 minutes and 38 seconds is the longest song. And I just felt for once in a very, very long time proud to be a West Virginian. And I cried. Not like a baby, but the music has never hit me so hard in a very long time. And to realize a man that's from Appalachia and can articulate these words and say these words in such a great way was just amazing to me. And it really did. It made me proud to be a West Virginian. It made me proud to be Appalachian. And, I know not everybody's going to agree with the way I think. People are going to think however they want to think. But at the end of the day, I've never had it that bad, as a lot of people in this country do. And people of a different race, how bad they have it nowadays. And it just felt good, man. It felt good to feel proud to be Appalachian again. Knowing that, of course, I surround myself with great people, or I guess like-minded people. I'm not saying I'm always right. I don't always know. I might not be on the right side of history a lot of times. But I'm very confident on how I feel about these things. And it was just great having a voice like Tyler Childers to rise up and make that statement. And he had a lot more to lose making that statement than I do or ever will. So I know that was kind of deep right there, moment for Mondays with Matt Marion podcast, but I just wanted to say thank you to Tyler Childers and to let people know how much that meant to me. And if you haven't seen a statement, please watch it. I'm sure you could find it anywhere online. So that's our good news for this week. So, man, it was hard to start off with that. That's some deep shit right there, right? Oh, man. But thank you guys so much for listening to that. So let's move on, okay? So that's probably as deep and serious as this podcast will ever get. And maybe not, though. I mean, it's only episode 12, right? Who knows what's in store for the future of this country, man. But I refuse not to be proud to be Appalachian anymore. I'm not going to let other people's views dictate how I see this part of the country. I just think it's some ignorance. That's all. They're not doing it on purpose. So, yeah. Okay, finally. Let's move on. For real this time. Let's move on to movies with Matt, okay? So every week I talk about good movies, or a good movie, and I talk about a bad movie. So today we're talking about, let's talk about our good movie. This week's good movie was brought to you by my good friend Kevisaurus. And he's been listening to this podcast since day one, ladies and gentlemen. Since day one. And I've really been enjoying our little conversations we have with each other, going back and forth. He usually tells me when he's listened to the episode. I think he said he listens on Wednesdays or Thursdays or something like that. Sorry, Kev, I forget which day you said. But he recommended me watching Master and Commander. So I did. And I've seen it before. It's actually called Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. And it is from 2013. I cannot believe this movie is 17 years old. And it stars Russell Crowe as Captain Jack Aubrey, and Paul Bettany as Dr. Stephen Maturin. I forget even how they say his name in the movie. And he's a surgeon on the ship, and it's based on a true story. Let me read what it says it's about on imdb.com. It says, during the Napoleonic Wars, a brash British captain pushes his ship and crew to their limits in pursuit of a formidable French war vessel around South America. Oh, I didn't even realize it was South America. I was thinking Africa the whole time. I guess just because I thought, Europe's over there, so they're probably around Africa. But no, they're in South America, and it is a great movie. It's Russell Crowe after Gladiator. He was in plenty of movies before that, but Gladiator really put him on the map. And then it was Master and Commander. There might have been a movie in between there, but I don't know. I haven't done too much research on that. But it is a great movie. I watched it. Really puts you in the shoes of some of these sailors and what life would be like on these ships. And during the Napoleonic Wars, that's when a lot of the kind of naval battles started happening. And it is a great film. It really is. The attention to detail they've had in there is amazing. Really just, I don't know. I don't have too much to say about it besides it being a great movie. It almost like feels like a little mundane at certain points, but I feel like that was kind of purposeful because you feel like you're on this ship and you're stuck out to sea with these men, and you're basically stuck out to sea the entire movie. And there's some pretty squeamish parts, but I really enjoyed watching it again. So if you're looking for a great movie to watch, I rented it on Amazon for $3.99. I could have bought it for $1 more. I probably just should have done that. So then I just own the movie. $1 more. What is that? Like 4 gumballs? Maybe 2 gumballs at this point? It's probably 50 cents a gumball nowadays. It's always been a quarter most of my life, but everything's gone up in price. We got to make sure we're keeping these gumball companies in business. So maybe I support the up in the gumball price if it is, but it's probably still just a quarter. It's funny. Even though money's gone up, it's like, if I think about spending more than 25 cents on a gumball, that just seems ridiculous. Sorry, I just took another sip. Sorry for hearing me take sips. It's gross. So our bad movie for the week is a movie I've watched plenty of times. I watched it just recently with my girlfriend, and that movie is 1983's Sleepaway Camp. Sleepaway Camp. It's a classic slasher movie from 1983, so you're in the thick of these slasher movies coming out at the time, and the best of the slasher movies. But I'll tell you what, this one's pretty intricate. I've listened to a couple podcasts about Sleepaway Camp, and what's going on with the families and everything is very complicated. So if you watch the movie, I'll just say you're probably not going to understand, really, the intricacies of exactly what is going on. So after you watch the movie, I highly recommend looking up what's going on with the families, who is who died, what is some motivations of this character. And it is a shocking movie. It is very shocking. One of the most classic endings of all time. One of the most hilarious endings of all time. You might see a penis. You might not. I don't know. I'm not going to say that. But IMDb.com describes it as, Angela Baker, a shy, traumatized young girl, is sent to summer camp with her cousin. Shortly after her arrival, anyone with sinister or less than honorable intentions gets their comeuppance? Comeuppance. That is one word. Gets their comeuppance. COMEUPPANCE. I'll just tell you right now, I didn't read the description of this before I started this, and I didn't know that word, such a word would end this, comeuppance. Like I said, I am Appalachian, and maybe I don't have the best use of words. I'm looking this up. Comeuppance is a noun, and it says it's a punishment or fate that someone deserves. Oh. So less than honorable intentions gets their what they deserve. That's kind of harsh. I mean, saying that people that just sleep together when they're young deserve death, it's a comeuppance. I don't know. I've had a few drinks. I don't even know if I'm making sense at this point. I apologize, folks. I'm sorry I'm not on my A game like I usually am, but I think this is going to be an enjoyable podcast. I mean, why not? So that concludes Movies with Matt. Let's talk about some shows with Matt. Well, I'm not talking about any shows in general. It's hard to watch a new show every week, but I've been watching Keeping Up with the Boys on Amazon. I've brought that up in past podcasts just about superheroes, if they're really here and if they're owned by a company and what would come about from that. It's a great show. It's on Amazon Prime, so if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it for free. And it's fantastic. It's in the second season, and they didn't give us the whole season like they did in the first season. They're giving us like 2 or maybe 1, 2, or 3 episodes a week. I think they started with 3 episodes. So they want to make sure people that are just using Amazon Prime to watch The Boys, that's how good it is. They're like, if they're just watching it, using Amazon Prime to watch a show, we're going to keep them in for at least 2 months. I imagine that's their thinking. But it's a great show. But other than that, I've been obsessed with YouTube interrogation videos. And there's a lot of interrogation channels. This one I like is called The Behavior Panel. And it's for men that are... a few of them have been interrogators rather. One's like an acting coach that really studies human behavior, and they watch videos of people, usually famous people or famous trials and whatnot, and they go through whether they think this person is lying. They did one on what did I just watch? They did one on a UFO guy that was on Joe Rogan not too long ago, and it was very interesting. Let me just click on their name here. Who was it? Oh, just videos. The Behavior Panel. Maybe I watched an old one. And there's all kinds of stuff. They have a lot of videos, so they have a lot of content, which is cool. And it's really worth watching. I wish I could find this guy's name. Oh well, just check out the Behavior Panel on YouTube. They have tons of followers, 95,000 followers. And they're great videos, and they go into great detail. They'll have a segment of the person talking and making a statement, and then they pause it, and then they go through. Each one of them goes through what they're seeing during this and why they think the person's lying or not lying. They also cover people that are not lying at all, and those are really good too. I think they enjoy actually looking at people that aren't lying. So check out them. Also, my favorite ones I've watched are called... Gosh, I'm sorry. I've been so shitty on this podcast. I'm so sorry. It's podcast number 12, Matt. We gotta be better than this. We just gotta. But, I mean, I watch a lot of things on YouTube. Different things. It's called HC something. Oh well, but just in different interrogation videos on YouTube, I'm obsessed with it. I think it's just so detailed in how people can just call out bullshit. If you think you're a good liar, you're probably not. I mean, I think people just have a natural knack of telling if somebody's lying, unless they're just hypnotized by the person. I mean, we've all seen those kind of relationships where you're just like, why are you with this person? Why do you believe they're bullshit all the time? And it's just like, well, I'm in love with them. So I think it's, in a way, you just want to believe. I think that the fact that people want to believe really just takes away their whole gauge of telling if somebody's lying, because they just want to believe them. And that's that pretty much. So, man, it's been a pretty dark episode so far. Am I right? We're 36 minutes in. You're probably like, Matt, this is supposed to be fun. We're supposed to be having fun listening to this podcast. Damn. Well, let's get into these questions. Maybe this will brighten up our week. Okay, so let's get into this. My first questions for Matt, is from Jamie Smith. Good friend of mine. I've known her for years. She's known me since I was a youngster. She's not ancient. She's not way older than me, but she was older than me when I was a youngster. And I used to run around with her little brother during Hurricane High School football games and basketball games and whatnot. And she asks, I have been listening to your podcast on my way to and from work this week. My questions are, coming from a comment you made in an early episode, when did you realize that you wanted to sing like Tina Turner? What was it about her singing style that attracted you? Did I ever say that? I mean, I like Tina Turner. There ain't nothing wrong with Tina Turner. I mean, but did I say I want to sing like her? Are you just messing with me? Can anybody else vouch for her? Did I say this? I really have no idea. I would love to sing like Tina Turner, though. I mean, but I can't. I just can't. Or are you saying you think I sound like Tina Turner? I could believe that if you want to say I sound like her. But what? When did I realize I wanted to sound like Tina Turner? Oh, geez. I need to look up some Tina Turner songs. Tina Turner. Oh, yeah. What's Love Got to Do with It? That's such a great song. What's love got to do with it? Oh, I'll probably get kicked off of a podcast saying now I'm singing her songs. But in all honesty, Jamie, I don't know. I think you're messing with me because I don't think I've ever mentioned Tina Turner on my podcast. I don't know where this question is coming from. It seems like completely out of left field. But I do thank you all the same for checking into my podcast and listening on the way to work. And maybe I'll start channeling her more in the future when we're playing some music. And, of course, what attracted me to her is her beautiful voice. I would like to know how it feels to be a great singer like Tina Turner. Like how it feels to really belt it out. Or Mariah Carey, or something along those lines. But, yeah, I don't know. Your question confused me. Your question really messed with me. I just want you to know that. Got in my head right at the beginning of questions. I shouldn't have started with this one. Now I don't even know where I am. Where am I? Where are you? Don't tell me that. You don't want to release that information. Anyways, next on to the next question. I'm using great English sentences here, aren't I, on this podcast? Anyways, the next question is from John Ingram. Hey, thanks for another question, my man. Bass player for Fletcher's Grove. One of the best bass players there ever was or is. and one of the best dudes there ever was, one of the best dads there ever was. I wish I could say he was one of the best fishermen there ever was, but I don't think he's been catching shit lately. But that's not what fishing's about. It's about just going out there, John, okay? So good for you for getting out there, because I haven't been. But he asks, would you rather play a show in a thick leather Would you rather play a show in a thick leather Adidas tracksuit on a hot summer day, or go skiing in a pair of sopping wet velvet overalls? Well, I think this question kind of stems from me finding a pair of leather Adidas sweatpants. Actually, I think Evett Sim sent me that. I can't remember who sent me the leather Adidas pants, but that's what Wes Hager wears all the time when he's playing as an Adidas tracksuit. Not the past times. He's been disappointing a lot of people. I think he stopped buying Adidas tracksuits. I think his thing was like he wanted to wear a brand new Adidas tracksuit every night. And that's not quite sustainable as a lead guitarist of Fletcher's Grove. But man, that's easy. I'd much rather be in playing a show in a thick leather Adidas tracksuit on a hot summer day. I can do that. I can handle the heat, baby. If you can't stand the heat, get off the fucking stage. And I can stand the heat. I've been in some heat on the stage, okay? I've played those congas through extreme weather, and I am not afraid of the hot. But I am afraid of the cold, especially skiing, man. When you're wet, when you're skiing, that is like the most miserable thing in the world. Because, well, for one, I get paid to play, so I'm getting paid to sweat my ass off in this thick leather Adidas tracksuit. When I'm skiing, it's either free because maybe I'm playing at a ski resort, or I've paid at least some money or potentially a lot of money to ski at this place, so I want to have a good time. I do not want to be wet and cold and less than that pay somebody or just do it for free. No, I do not want to ski in wet velvet overalls. But velvet overalls do sound quite fashionable, and I think John would look great in a pair of sopping wet velvet overalls. All right, next question. This is from Ryan Kravchuk, and he had a question for last week, and I totally messed up and didn't even get to this question, but so he gets a twofer, okay? He gets 2 questions this week. This question says, why is it... Oh, this is Ryan Kravchuk from Fletcher's Grove, okay? Great musician, great songwriter, my friend, my brother, since 7th grade. We started a band in 7th grade. The very first song that Ryan Kravchuk and I ever played, I used to play drum set, and the very first song we played was Iron Man by Black Sabbath. He came over to my house, and I had a really shitty garage to do this at, so I had to set like cardboard down and set up my drum set, and we played Iron Man because we both knew that song, and we tore it up. Actually, it probably sounded horrible, but I'll never forget that. Anyways, he says, why is it that if a man kills another man in battle, it's called heroic? Yet, if he kills a man in the heat of passion, it's called murder. Well, I believe that's from the only movie that Ryan Kravchuk ever quotes, Wayne's World. I know he likes movies. He watches them every so often, but he's not like a movie person like I am. He never has been. But he's seen Wayne's World, I guess, probably 1,000 times. I've seen it probably 5,000 times. He's seen it 1,000, and it's literally the only movie that Ryan ever quotes, ever. But that is Al Bundy saying that question in Wayne's World. I don't know the actor's name. Everybody just knows him as Al Bundy, right? But Nobody answers him. I remember he asked that question, and Wayne's like, hey, you can't be talking to the camera like that. But Al Bundy, I really don't know. Why is it called heroic? Maybe some people do have good reasons enough to kill people, I mean, life is a battlefield. Who sings that? I kind of forget. Or love is a battlefield. So, I mean, all's fair in love and war, baby. So I guess murder should be fair too, right? That's usually left out of love. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about right now. Anyways, let's go away from that question. Sending me to a dark place, Mr. Ryan Kropchak. His next question says, I have a couple questions. Well, really, I think this is just one question, but we'll see. What is the definition of a nook and cranny? Would a butthole be considered a nook or a cranny? What's the best way to open up a nook and cranny? Fingers? Fork? Knife? Huh. That is a good question. I mean, we ate a lot of English muffins when we were Are y'all still there? Were you having a nitrous balloon flashback just now? This shit happens every so often, but this time I actually wanted to keep in a little bit of that weird shit, so I hope you weren't like pausing your podcast. That was kind of an experiment for you guys, seeing if y'all will keep on. Did kind of sound like you just hit a nitrous balloon and stuff started going on. But anyways, when I was living with Croft, we did eat a lot of English muffins together. I already said all this shit before, so I'm just saying it again because I never know this thing's going wrong. It doesn't let me know until like a minute later. But I used to eat a lot of English muffin sandwiches. He had like this little breakfast sandwich machine, and it was awesome. You put like your English muffin down, and I think you'd put the English muffin down, and then a part would come down. Maybe you'd put your meat on there, and then another part would come down, and you'd put your egg, crack your egg in it, and maybe meat. I forget where you put your meat at. And then you put your English muffin on top of the egg, and then you'd close the machine, and it would just make this breakfast sandwich, and you like pull this little tab out that held that was under your egg, so you just slide that out. So then it's just all one sandwich. You lift it up, and you just have a made sandwich ready to go. And I saw Alton Brown from the Food Network really bash these machines. Well, he can fuck off because the breakfast sandwich machine is amazing. Look it up because it's really hard to explain exactly what it is. And Alton Brown go fuck himself, even though I like him, and he is really smart with food. I need to take a sip of this. But English muffins, the not the off-brand English muffins, but they call them nooks and crannies. And it seems like nooks and crannies just go hand in hand, right? Like you can't have a nook without a cranny. You can have a breakfast nook. Which, what is that? Just a little place to eat, but it's little? Do you have a breakfast cranny? Damn, this is a good question, Croft. I'm proud of you. Proud to call you my brother and friend. Kind of mad because I don't know how to answer this. Would a butthole be considered a nook or a cranny? I feel like your butthole is a part of your butt as a whole. You have like nooks and crannies around there. I don't even know what's going on back there sometimes. I'm like feeling back there like, how big is my butthole? Am I cleaning it right? Why is it still dirty? Why does it still smell? It's from all the nooks and crannies up in there, right? That's the grossest this podcast has gotten, thanks to Croft's question. So yeah, your butthole area. That's not say you're just your butt. Yeah, your butthole is it's a nook and cranny. There's all kinds of stuff, folds and stuff up in there. I know it's gross, but everybody has a butthole. You know what it's like. So get over it. If you're saying, "Ooh, that's gross," get over it. All right. What's the best way to open up a nook and cranny? Oh, so nook and crannies, they're not made to open up, Croft. They're made to clean or eat. Like in the English muffin department, they're just made to eat. But you don't open up a nook and cranny. Fingers, fork, knife. What is he getting at? Oh my God. I guess I'm going to have to say fingers. Fingers first? Yeah, fingers first. You don't want to start with a knife or a fork. Maybe a spoon, maybe. But yeah, fingers for sure to clean that nook and cranny of yours. You probably need to clean your nook and cranny there, Croft, it sounds like. All right, let's move on to the next question. Ryan Walters. Great man. I've worked for this man at the Burrito Bar. He's one of two of the owner and operators of the Burrito Bar. And he says, do you think some men choose to drink Michelob Ultra because it makes their hands look bigger? Oh, absolutely. I definitely think that's so, because they do. They come in like kind of like a Red Bull can, right? Kind of skinnier. They make your hands look like they're longer, but they also make them look like your hands are less wide because they're taller. And I saw, I'm not going to name any names, and I don't think you listen to this podcast, but I saw a dude taking a selfie with his Michelob Ultra. He was laying on his stomach at a beach with his feet up in the air behind him, and he had his Michelob Ultra, like he wanted it in the shot. And he took a selfie with his Michelob Ultra laying on his belly on the beach. And I was just like, dude, you look like a little beach taking this picture. So that's all I'll say about that. Let's move right along here. We're at 53 minutes already, and they're probably like, Matt, you've been drinking. You need to get off here. The next question is from Kaiden, drummer of Ghost Road, which I think that's a badass band name, by the way. And he says, when you're out of your mind, are you outside of your own mind, or have you run out of mind? Well, that's a great question, because there's a lot of phrases, a lot of common phrases that I sometimes I try to think about what they really mean, and that's a really good one. You're out of your mind. I think, God, that's a good question. I think you've run out of mind. Like, you're out of your mind. You've used up all the mind that you had. You're out of it. So, yeah, you've run out of mind in that case. It's a good question. Good question, Kaiden, but I answered that, and that is signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours. Next question comes from Shane Diesel of Beggars Clan and Three's Company Blues, and he asks, if you and Jeremy Brown, who is also a fellow percussionist from Beggars Clan, very good-looking individual, loves Prince, looks like he could be related to Prince. He's equally as good-looking. He says, if you and Jeremy Brown were a tag team duo, what would your name be? And would you be bad guys or good guys? I'll hang up now and listen to your answers. Well, thanks for your call. That wasn't a call at all, but I love you fantasizing about calling me. And hopefully I'll have a number that you can call next week and leave a message. I was thinking about this. We're both auxiliary percussionists. And I think we would just be the Shakers. We'll shake things up, baby. And we'd be bad guys, but we'd be like sexy bad guys that women love. You know, so the guys wouldn't like us, but the ladies would love us. And we would just shake shit up. We would shake it up, baby. Me and you, Jeremy. What do you think? Not nearly as good of a name as the Gruesome Twosome, because Shane plays drums and Jeremy's the percussionist. Tommy and I don't have a name for our percussion section, and that kind of makes me upset. I don't know if Tommy's listening to this, but Tommy, I think it'd be cool if we had a name, like the Gruesome Twosome or something, so we could be as cool as Shane and Jeremy. I don't know. It's whatever. But, yeah, man, the Shakers. Jeremy and Matt, the Shakers. That's the only plural name of any auxiliary percussion instrument I could think that sounds cool. You can't be the triangles or the cowbells. Cowbells does sound kind of cool, though. Ring your cowbell. We're the Shakers. We'd ring your cowbell. We'd slap your vibra slap around. And that sounds a little dirty. So next question is from Chris Spittle. Chris Spittle, good friend of mine. Known him for a long time. It's weird how you just end up knowing people for so fucking long. You don't realize it until you really think about it. But he's been a supporter of Fletcher's Grove for a long time, and just a great dude. I've never seen this dude not in a good mood or just being super cool. But he says, so who did you decide was your favorite football team and why the Cowboys? All right, so I did make a post on Facebook about who should I root for in the NFL, because I'm a huge West Virginia University Mountaineer fan, always will be. They have my total heart. They're the only team that really upsets me if they're losing, or they really make me happy when they win. I could really give two shits about the NFL just because my heart's not into it, right? I'm from West Virginia. We have no cities. We're not even close to a pro football team. Maybe the closest one is the Steelers, but I can't root for the Steelers because I don't like Pitt. The University of Pittsburgh, I do not like Pitt. And I know that's who their fans are rooting for. And I don't like the Cowboys, man, very much. I liked them when I was little. I remember I liked them when I was little. But I just don't like their uniforms. And that's the only thing, that's the only reason I could like a team at this point. Who has the coolest uniforms? Who has a cool, thing going? So I did make a choice of who my favorite football team is, and it is, are you ready for this? The Raiders. I'm rooting for the Raiders from now on. And I've always kind of liked the Raiders, but badass uniforms, one of the most badass logos ever. They've had some of the coolest players of all time come through there. Janikowski, the kicker, among others. And, you have Ice Cube, classic Ice Cube, wearing his Raiders stuff. And they're in Las Vegas now, so I know they're not going to have, they've been moving around so that their fan base isn't going to be from a certain area, but that's not what their team's about anyways. You could be a Raiders fan and just be from anywhere. And I love seeing how their fans dress up. I like their coach, John Gruden. Always have been a fan of his. I know they call him Chucky because he kind of has that Chucky grimace face. And got a lot of friends. My friend Alex Thompson loves the Raiders. And I know one day, whenever some of this COVID shit cools off and we're healthy as a nation, I cannot wait to go to that stadium in Las Vegas, hit up the crab tables, and go to a Raiders game. That'd be awesome. I was fantasizing about that a lot this past week. Just being with my buddy Alex, hitting Las Vegas, going to a football game, losing a bunch of money on blackjack or at the roulette wheel. And they play on Monday Night Football. Who are they playing again? I forget. Oh, they're playing the Saints. I do believe they're playing the Saints. So I can't wait to watch that, see their first game at this brand new, awesome looking stadium. I don't know if there's going to be fans there or not. I know some NFL teams have had like half capacity or less. So I hope they have at least some fans in there, as long as it's safe. But, yeah, Raiders, baby. Raider Nation. And I've been, thank you, Raider Nation, for having opening arms for new fans. Nobody was saying, like, you're just hopping on the bandwagon or whatever. Well, it's early in the season. There is no bandwagon. They did beat the Carolina Panthers yesterday, so they're undefeated at this point, 1-0. And they're going to take down the Saints. So put all your money on the Raiders on Monday. All right. We got one last question from Emily Jo. She says, so this is a quote. It says, "You are called to be brave, but your fear is real, and you can feel the fear right in your throat. What's the very first thing you do?" I stole this question, as she goes on to say, stole this question from Breen Brown's podcast, Unlocking Us, but it's been an awesome writing prompt for my students. So Emily Jo is a great teacher, great musician, just great person all around. I know she's asked questions in here before, and I've talked about her a lot. Emily, I miss you. It'd be great to see you around sometime soon. And, man, that's a great question, and I love that you use that for a writing prompt for your students, because it really makes you think about your feelings, and it's a tough question at the same time. It's not like, how do you feel when you see pizza or something like that? That's easy to write about or think about for most people. I get really happy when I see pizza. Anyways, so you're called to be brave, but your fear is real, and you can feel the fear right in your throat. What's the very first thing you do? I haven't had too many experiences like this in real life, but I like to think I am a decently brave person, especially when something is very fearful and there's a calling to be brave. So that means, like, that is the greater good, right? What are you going to do? And I think at first, of course, I'm in awe of the situation in general. Things move slowly. They're in slow motion there for a second. And really just in awe of the situation itself. I've put myself in I mostly just going from, like, me putting myself in other shoes that maybe have been called to be heroic. So I'd be in awe at first, and then I would like to think that it's like almost like you just automatically do something. You throw yourself out there. You take that leap because you know it's the right thing to do, and you just take a leap. And it might be a really similar feeling to just taking a leap off of a mountainside. You might not know exactly what's going to happen to you, but you know it's right. And really, it's a beautiful moment. Life is fleeting anyways, and it might be a beautiful thing to put it into one moment that you may or may not come out of, but you're doing the right thing. And that sounds like a decent way to go out. And that's me sitting in my pajama pants right now, drinking some bourbon, talking about that. So I don't know for sure how I would feel or what I would do, but I like to think I would do the right thing. And I think most of us would. I don't think it even takes a thrill seeker to do the right thing in that moment. I think a lot of us would be surprised at what we're capable of in those moments. So I feel like I did some band story time within there, so there's not a specific band story time in this. We're already at an hour and 5 minutes. So just thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. It was a really fun episode. I'm sorry it was a little different. maybe my attitude was a little different. But hey, it's a podcast, man. It's very personal for me. I want to be more, honest with these things. And I put myself out there for these, and I had a great time. It's therapeutic for me to get some of these things off my chest and put them into words. And I hope you guys have a great week. Please continue to share this. I'm happy with the amount of listeners I have. That's not what this is all about, but I would love to have more listeners, especially of people that would be into this type of thing. So if you have people or friends that listen to podcasts, please share it with them. If you see my post on Facebook, please share it. I would like more comments and more interaction from my Mondays with Matt Marion page on Facebook. But like I said, that's not what it's all about anyways. I tend to get more reactions out of my personal page. And I'm so far, I don't think I'm reaching people that don't know who I am, but who would want to listen to some guy named Matt Marion anyways if they don't even know who he is? I don't know. But hey, it's a shot. Maybe they'd listen to me once and be like, hey, this is cool. I'll listen again. Don't even know this guy, but who knows? Anywho, I love you guys so much. I can't wait to see a lot of you guys in person. Mark, it was great seeing you in person recently. And I hope, I can't wait. I can't wait to be amongst you fine folks. I hope you guys have a great week, great weekend, and, just be kind to each other. Do something nice. Maybe try to understand something that you didn't understand before. All right? Love y'all so much. Have a great week. Goodbye.
The less I see, the more I wanna be alone.